All right, here we go. We're back. Episode 7. Did we confirm that?
Yes, episode 7.
Episode 7. A little delayed. It was a busy weekend for both members of the
Yeah,
podcast
a lot of sports games
jamboree.
attended. A lot of travel, a lot of sports.
Yeah, we had I think a total of four events attended, right? Because I went to the Thursday night Commanders Bears game, which was a fart. I went to the Saturday ALDS game between the Orioles and the Rangers, a queef. And then I went to the game yesterday, which was a double queef. And then you went 1-0. I went 0-3. You went 1-0.
Dude, I think you might just have to not do those games with this little tweet on top you got. I think it might just be a superstition you got to see out, man. I know, though, if Game 5 comes home, you're going to be there.
I think my plan right now is I keep telling myself the Caps open the season on Friday against the Penguins. So I'm telling myself my plan is to go to Ellicott City, go to bars down there, watch it down there. So if the Caps are opening, I'll watch that. If somehow God just puts the Orioles on his back and just decides it is time for them to go to a Game 5, I'll obviously be watching that. But that's all big talk. If they do get it, I'll probably throw my wallet at StubHub.
That's tough, yeah. But my game, 1-0 this weekend. Wasn't a good game to be at, honestly. It was not fun for 3 quarters. I was at the Ravens-Steelers game. I'm a Steelers fan. For 3 quarters, all you can think about is how our offense is straight dog. You get excited because the defense is actually exciting to watch. You're like, oh my God, we have something good at least. TJ Watt, 8 sacks through 5 games. Just insane. Alex Highsmith had 11 pressures, the most pressures in a game all year.
He was held a ton, too. I watched that game. He was getting...
I know. But you have to hold him because, he's an animal, too, these days. He got paid, and he's clearly worth the bag. We paid him. And it makes TJ Watt it makes it easier for him, too. He's defensive player of the year, clearly. Micah Parsons did nothing against the 49ers. Watt had a couple stats.
Yeah, he's that defense is just... I was texting my cousin today who's a big Ravens fan, and I was like, why does this Steelers team seem like the Mark Sanchez, Rex Ryan era Jets, and they'll somehow find their way to an AFC Championship game, and you're kind of like, what the hell are they doing here? But they'll be out there, Kenny Pickett will be running out there.
No, Kenny P though, it's just so wild. He'll throw some nice passes. At this point, I'm just on the bandwagon. Just throw it to George Pickens. He's the only dude consistently making contested catches, and he's the only dude getting the open. Everyone else is pretty locked up most of the time. Allen Robinson's looks pretty solid for having him, but please take fucking Gunnar Olszewski off punt return and kick return. I don't care if Calvin Austin's hurt. Put someone else out there, please.
What are the chances that your favorite, 2 of your teams has a guy named Gunnar on it? What are the chances of that?
I know. And one Gunner is just an absolute stud, and the other Gunner is just a disappointment to his family because this man just continuously fumbles the ball.
He was born to be a Patriot, dude.
Just Gunnar. Ridiculous, man. This fumble. Shout out to number 87. Don't know his name, but whoever made that tackle on that when he fumbled that punt won us that game yesterday. And he was also got real close to recovering that blocked punt in the end zone.
Yeah, it was one of those crazy games that I feel like only the Ravens and Steelers play, where it's close no matter what one team can be 1-14, the other team could be 14-1, and they're still going to play a game where no one scores over 25 points. There is one guarantee in all of sports gambling ever, and it's whatever the under is for a Ravens-Steelers game. You have to hammer it, put your entire wallet, put your entire personal wealth on that, because there's no chance that they're hitting the over. It's every single game. It's 19-13, 12-9 or something. It's insane all the time.
Just the most the dude I was sitting next to at the game, because it was 10-8 at some point. at 10-5 after the safety, he goes 10-5. That's gay. That's the he said that is the gay store I've seen. Not to get canceled. These aren't my words. These are his.
No, and we don't condone that. Yeah,
We don't condone that saying this, but
we're
it was
allies.
pretty funny.
Yeah.
But to have a 10-5 store and somehow end up 17-10, only the Ravens and Steelers can pull that
Right
off.
the ship. Yeah. Yeah, it was insane. But yeah, Steelers got the win. I actually picked them as part of one of my bets yesterday. I put money on them, the Texans, and the Jets. I put together a little 3-team underdog parlay, and the Texans came up literally 2 points
I put
short.
together a beautiful parlay. I've had the Jags, the Colts, the Steelers, and the Texans. Now, the Texans fucked it up, so I didn't win all the money. But since the other 3 games were basically sealed by the time the Falcons had the ball down the field, since there was still a chance they missed the field goal, I guess they gave me a $150 cash out, so I cashed out.
There you go. That's huge. And it was like right at the last second before they were going to be like cash out unavailable.
It was 20 seconds left, and I was like,
yeah.
And then Logan looks at me, my girlfriend, and goes, "What if they missed the field goal?" And I'm like, "Don't say that."
Yeah.
So I was just watching the end of the game, like, "Don't fucking miss. Don't fucking
All of a
miss."
sudden, you're the biggest Falcons fan in the world. For God's sake, Young Wei Ho, whatever it's a Young Wei Q.
Yeah, I was like, "I have you on my fantasy team. Don't miss."
Yeah, it was a crazy day yesterday. Crazy slate of games. We didn't do our pick'em this week, so we're gonna just say that we both went undefeated. I think that's the natural way to do it.
Never lost.
Yeah, exactly. Never lost. Yeah. So you had a great.
We can
experience.
both say we were actually 1-1 because we did both take the Steelers and the Texans in the same
true. There
thing.
we go. So there we got something. But the polar opposite of your game, maybe not polar opposite, but Thursday night was maybe the worst game I've ever attended. Maybe.
Dog. We've been shitting on Justin Fields all year, and he just
he decided to
regret it.
He was just like, you know what? Let me be the guy that everybody wants me to be. And it wasn't even him. It was DJ
Moore.
DJ Moore. The Commanders, for whatever reason, have never heard of a double move in their entire life because every single receiver seems to just hit a double move, and they're like, where did he go? And then he's just streaming down the field. And yeah, I think how many yards did Fields have? He had like 300 and it was something crazy, right? And then but like almost all of it went to DJ Moore.
Yeah, like 200, like 50 of that was DJ because I played him in fantasy this week. It was brutal.
He probably should have had 4 touchdowns. But
yeah,
that was just atrocious. The Commanders' defense has turned from the strength of this team and what many people thought would kind of propel them to the playoffs with competent QB play to like a clear liability. They're not getting it done on the back end. They're not getting it done with the linebackers, and then the front 4 are not getting the job done either. Like it's just a failure on every phase. And it's kind of funny because like the irony is the big question mark for this season was obviously Sam Howell's performance and what he was going to do. And if anything, he has proven in all of this turmoil that he's actually the least of their problems. Like he's playing very well. Outside of that Bills game, he's played very well. And I think he only gets better from here. So that's the kind of half glass full outlook on things.
Mentality.
But I mean, the
defense. You
defense
have that though in these moments. You gotta have that.
You gotta do something. It's been a rough. The high of the highs was like the weekend where we beat the Commanders beat the Broncos. The Orioles clinched a playoff spot by beating the Rays, and I was like, I knew right then, I was like, I have to enjoy this because there's going to come some dark days. Yeah, but I never expected it to be this bad.
Oh, it's real dark right
Yeah.
now with the O's and the Commanders. Dog, last week was like my Commanders Bears game when Houston put up 30-6. So you're doing better than me because last week I was ready to give up on the season.
I'm ready
I
to give up
was
on the season.
because like I thought Kenny was gone for the rest of the year too. I was just ready to just hang it up and be like, we'll see you next year. But now we're number one in the division somehow. We've been
Yeah.
outscored by 30 points. We've allowed 600 more yards than we've gained. So somehow we're getting this is Steelers football at its
You
finest.
guys are just sitting up there like Patrick when he has the wood in his head or whatever. And he's just sitting there, sitting at the
Exactly.
top. Another thing that buried in all of this, not really buried, but the Ravens. I have been banging the drum that I think it's time to move on for Harbaugh for like 3 years now. I've said that like if you want to get the most out of Lamar Jackson, you have to have a head coach who's innovative offensively and who's going to be able to do different things with him because he's very talented and there are a lot of things you can do with him. But Harbaugh is he's a great head coach, but I think every head coach reaches this point where they kind of outlast their messaging, I think. And it's like, I think he's at the point right now where it's coming across stale and the team looks the exact same that it has for the past 3 years. Like there's nothing new. Like they'll probably be a fringe playoff team and they'll lose in like the second round. And it's just I feel like if they want to get to the next level, they need to do like a complete revamp of their coaching staff.
Yeah. See, Harbaugh, the issue with getting rid of Harbaugh is that I think he's a really good head coach. But I mean, he's kind of like that Tomlin category to me where like he does enough to stay every year. Like he's not gonna have like a terrible season. Like John Harbaugh will get you to the playoffs. You won't make it. You won't have those 4-13 seasons with John Harbaugh as your head coach and Lamar as your quarterback. So it's gonna be hard for the Ravens organization to just look at him and be like, time to move on because he produces winning seasons year after year.
I agree with that, but I think he has shown, number one, the year Lamar was a rookie and Joe Flacco was still the starter, they were literally like a game away from firing him in season before he brought Lamar in as like a last ditch effort to be like, let's see what happens. And Lamar played well enough for them to think, okay, let's see what he can do. And then the next year, obviously, they were incredible. Lamar had his MVP season. They lose to the Titans in the first round. And ever since then, I just feel like they've been stuck in kind of this purgatory of like, they are a good team, but it's very, very clear that they're never going to beat the Bills. They're never going to beat the Chiefs. They're never going to beat the Bengals. Like they're good they have the talent to be able to compete with those guys, but I just think they need something new in order to kind of just like you need to kind of take that gamble to kind of just send it to the next level because like Todd Monken I just don't think is the answer.
Yeah,
Like as
no,
offensive
I think
coordinator.
their issues are very similar to the Steelers. Just they get a little more masked because Lamar Jackson is a really good quarterback and like he can run a lot. So like I mean his running is just another versatile thing in his arsenal and it allows him to look really good most of the time. So I think their real issue is OC. Like it's the same offense as Greg Roman was running last year. They were supposed to somehow open up the passing game more, but I really haven't seen that this year at all. It's still
Mm-hmm.
just let's throw it to Mark Andrews because that's the only guy we can rely on.
Yeah, and even him yesterday, what they had 7 drops or something like it was something
8.
crazy.
It was
8 drops.
ridiculous. Dog,
Yeah,
Pat Pete and Levi Wallace getting cooked
yeah.
repeatedly,
The
and
Pat
Ravens
Pete dude, that
receivers just
interception, that
that was
interception was
that was
unreal.
JPJ. That
Was it
wasn't
really?
Pat Pete.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought that was Patrick Peterson.
No, that was the
Oh.
man who should be playing all the time.
Wait, what number is Patrick Peterson then? I thought he was number 20.
20.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was number 20 who picked it off.
In the end zone?
Yeah.
No, that was 24.
Huh. Okay. Yeah. Maybe I saw. I was
Joey
I was
Porter
watching on a
Jr.
tiny screen. So
It
yeah.
was like his one snap. It was like he probably had like 10 snaps, but this was like, get him in. Start the rookies, Tomlin. I don't know why we don't start the rookies. They are like, for Broderick Jones to finally be touching the field too, like, thank Jesus. He's our number one pick. What do you do with number one picks? You don't, this isn't the MLB. We don't sit them and wait to 3 years for them to develop. No, you start your rookies instantly. Like, you
Yeah. How are
see
you gonna
what
know
you
what they
got.
got? And that's what you're
Yeah.
kind of seeing with the Commanders right now is they've got a combined outside of our first round pick Emmanuel Forbes. I think they have a combined 5 or 13 snaps in the entire draft class. Like it's just like you draft guys to contribute. You don't draft them to sit there and watch. Like I get some of the first year, some guys they just want them to kind of be able to see things and get it, in every now and then. But you want to kind of see what they have. See, they should be able to contribute right away in some sort of fashion, especially like in the first 3 rounds.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I mean, you see that more and more. I feel like as guys hesitant to
I
play their young guys.
I can understand sitting like third rounders on, but like, or even like mid second rounders on. But you got Joey Porter Jr., who is projected to be like a top 20 pick before the draft, and you somehow got him at 32. And then you got Broderick Jones, who was one of the best tackles coming out of college. So like, I just don't get why we're not playing him.
Yeah,
It's so frustrating, so frustrating.
yeah. Well, hopefully this will be the rocket that boosts him.
Yeah, hopefully this interception. I need Joey Porter Sr. to look at Tomlin and be like,
Yeah.
"What the fuck are you doing, Mike?
Is he
You
still
know
on
my
the coaching
son's a
staff?
dog."
Wasn't
No,
Joey Porter on the coaching staff for a
he
little bit?
was. He was the dude that got into like Adam Jones's face during that whole Bengals game, and Adam Jones got a penalty for like punching him or something.
Oh my god. But yeah, yeah, crazy game there. Horrible game, and I'm still not over it. And then Vikings kind of gave the Chiefs a run for their money.
Yeah, is Chelsea like seriously hurt?
I don't. That looked like it was a season ender. Like when he went down, like there was no one near him, and he just kind of. It
Yeah,
almost looked like an Achilles injury because he just like went down, and it was like he couldn't put weight
yeah.
on it. But it didn't look like it hurt. It looked like it was just like he like couldn't move it, and then he was back out there in the second half. It was like, all right, the power
See,
of the
this week,
Swift.
since I was traveling so much, I couldn't watch as many games. So I just saw the clip of him going down. I didn't know if he came back or not.
Yeah, yeah, he came back into the game, caught a touchdown pass. Poor Vikings. Hey, they put up a good effort, and I think they're going to
Lose once
rebound
again.
though. Like from what I've seen the past few weeks, like I think they'll, they're not going to be great, but I think they'll like try. They will compete for like that last wild card spot because the
Don't
NFC is just so wild. Like right now.
see the issue with the Viking is I have this superstition they used up a lot of luck last year with 11 one-score games. Now it's coming back around to bite them in the ass a little bit, and now they're
Mhm.
losing all these one-score games. So I don't know.
Yeah, it
They'll
was.
put up a fight for every team that like goes up against them this year, but I don't know. I just don't really have much faith anymore. I like Justin Jefferson though. He always puts up stats besides this week in fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're going to try
He
and go
was
out with a
locked
bang.
this week.
Yeah, that
Clamped.
Chiefs defense. The Chiefs defense is actually low key
Yeah,
the strength of that
surprisingly
team
really
right
good.
now. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
And
yeah, I don't
as a
know. Like,
fan of any other team, that is terrifying. That their biggest question is their passing offense.
yeah, like they're. It's funny. Like the enemy left, and not saying it was all him, but it's like they kind of lose that unpredictability that they had for so long. And you know, I'm honestly I meant to say this. I forgot to say it about the Ravens, but I'm surprised that they didn't go after Bieniemy in the offseason
Yeah.
because I thought that would have probably you kind of want to unleash Lamar as a passer, and I feel like Bieniemy probably had the ability. I don't know how the personalities would have matched because he's very intense. I don't know how Lamar would have responded to somebody like that, but you would have thought. I think that would have been an interesting, especially with the receivers that they have. It would have been interesting to see
I
what he
think it
could
would
have
have been
done with
a
them.
great fit for the Ravens to get Bieniemy, but I don't know. Their OC right now has terrible ideas. They had practicing catching balls using rugby balls. Just
Who was it that
why?
was like, "That's the worst idea"? Or Rex Ryan was like, "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard." Or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, I heard that when I saw him talking about that. That was, and I heard that, and I was like, "What the? No wonder they're dropping all these passes."
You kind of get that
Like
though, like
what?
with these college coaches who come in and they like their ideas initially are a little bit wonky, and you're like, all right, what are you thinking? And then
Yeah,
like as time goes on, they kind of like you get Pete Carroll or whatever who kind of gets like sorted out, and he's like, all right, I can't be pulling that bullshit. And with these guys are like 30 years old, like I can't be like
yeah.
doing this stuff. But
Dog, the new college guys are terrible. The Ravens OC and Matt Canada. Those are my two college dudes that are just
yeah,
terrible.
it doesn't translate. It's like when you're dealing with
No,
guys like who are 10 times better than the opponent, like you are in college usually. It's like it's not the same. Like you can't just run the spread offense like and do everything behind the line of scrimmage and it's gonna work. Like you cannot do that. Matt Canada
the
doesn't even
one,
do that. He just runs like literally
yeah.
like he took a Madden playbook and he's just like HB draw.
It's not the HB draw is wild. It's just the wildest play call every time. Like
He's like
doesn't work. It never works.
tight end attack. It's like,
The only good thing I saw from Matt Canada this week is that he didn't run that dumb fucking running back out wide motion to him just lining up in the backfield. He didn't do that this week. He heard me.
he was like, all right, that's not working. Cole's gonna be in the crowd, so he might assault me. Let's go ahead and take that out of the playbook. All right.
Dog, as soon as I heard the Fire Matt Canada chants, I was like, this is the real reason I'm here this year. Fire Matt Canada.
Just you destroyed your
Ray-
vocal cords.
Logan, who's a Ravens fan, was like, I feel bad for this man. I'm like, don't. Your job is to. What have you done for me lately? And for 3 years, this dude has done nothing for us.
He looks dumb too. Just the bald ass head. Yeah.
Oh, so it's so funny that he's had so much heat that they now just have a camera.
He's just like,
Yeah, every time something goes bad, they pan to him, and he's just like,
what if he kind of like
"Not
looked
to me."
at the camera? He was just kind of
Dude, if I put a fucking
like,
yeah, exactly. I put a napkin over that shit or something. Because I feel like you're not getting my reactions.
He panned back to him. He's just standing up. It's just chat roulette, just with his dong out.
He's just got Madden up. He has Ask
Yeah.
Madden on, and he's like, all right,
Yeah.
so it's 3rd and 10. What play is
PA
Madden
waggle.
suggesting?
Yeah. All right. I don't want to do this, but as we mentioned, I was at both of the Orioles divisional series games. And as electric as it was, pregame atmosphere on Saturday was maybe the best vibes I've ever felt in
At
any
Camden
kind of
Yards.
stadium ever. Like it was just like it was something that I've been waiting for years, like pretty much since the last time they went. And you've been waiting and just like jonesing for like this playoff environment in Camden Yards. Like there's nothing like it. Like the way like the stadium like is maybe it's like up there with Seattle with how loud it can get because it's so tightly like bound. There's such a high capacity in the stadium and also that the building's right there. So the sound just reverberates off of the building. And like it was just so like electric. Joan Jett sang the national anthem. And then it was just an absolute shitting of the bed in the most royal form. Not as much on Saturday, but Sunday was horrendous. Saturday they lost 3-2. Gunnar Henderson caught stealing, which him and Brandon Hyde said was a miscommunication. And then yesterday losing 11-8, in which they had 14 hits. Aaron Hicks had a ninth inning 3-run shot. And then what the real kicker was the Orioles pitching giving up 11 walks, which is ungodly. And they are now down 2-0 going back to Texas.
The past 2 games were the types of games we had when it was the 100-loss seasons. When our pitching was doing well during those seasons, our hitting wouldn't get it done. When our hitting was firing on all cylinders, it was the pitching that let the team down. I think the positives I did see was that Aaron hits what we brought him in to do, like to be a veteran, to show like leadership in these key moments. He's knocking in RBIs. He's having big hits in these games. Like yesterday, he attributed 5 runs. So
Yeah.
I mean, he's showing these young studs that there is something still to fight for.
And just like
And
huge
I mean, we're hitting the ball hard. I feel like it's just going to people right now. You know, like that first game, we were hitting the ball hard. It just was finding a glove. So
yeah,
I
he's
think
doing like
it can
Hicks.
change.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not giving up on anything yet. I mean, it's one of those things that Texas is a very streaky team. I saw that they've lost like 3 or 4 games in a row, like 4 times since August 31st, which is a lot. So it's it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility. They definitely have some, like the biggest thing that you see, like you saw yesterday, is the offense was alive, and like they were showing that the moment like wasn't too big for them offensively. And Gunnar got going huge yesterday. Had that bomb of a home run. Jorge Mateo went 4 for 4 with 2 doubles, and that like Adley finally got his first hit of the postseason. And I just think
Jorge writes against the Rangers.
Yeah, and just right-handed hitting, he really does smack, or left-handed.
Yeah.
Brandon Hyde, I think, gets a large. I don't like to be the guy who's like the manager gets a lot of blame, because I feel like people are very hard on him and very hard on Elias for no reason at all. But yesterday was a day where it was very clear that he was the manager who has never managed in the playoffs, and Bruce Bochy has won 3 World Series, because he was just, it felt like every single string that Hyde was pulling was the wrong one. And, like keeping Grayson Rodriguez in, I felt like one too many batters. Bringing in Brian Baker after Coulomb, and Baker loads the base, walks the bases loaded. Then he pulls him out, brings in Jacob Webb. Jacob Webb gives up a grand slam. And, it was just one of those things that it all fell apart in a very condensed amount of time. And, you need Kramer to have a good game tomorrow. That goes without saying. And hopefully he can get you 4 or 5 innings, and then, hopefully the offense is able to keep their bats up. We're finally getting a right-handed pitcher in Eovaldi, even though Eovaldi's another guy who's really good. And, you just hope that they can get it together and kind of do what they've done all season, which is not get swept. So,
yeah, I'm pretty set on guaranteeing that we win tomorrow because we don't get swept. I'm pretty set on that one. I'm fully committed to that one. Like, bet on it if you asked me. But the thing that gives me hope is that we have fighters. There's always been a fight in this team all year round. We've never really blown any teams out. We always had late game heroics this year, it felt like. I think we can do it in this series, honestly. The Texans, not the Texans, the Rangers, like you said, are a streaky team. And I think our pen is going to really want to bounce back. Like, there's a lot of people in this pitching staff right now that are, like, feeling like they let the team down, I feel like. So I feel like they're going to try to pull it together and bounce back, have as good as an outing as they can. And 11 walks, like, it can't get much worse. Like, like when you're walking 11 people, that's just guaranteeing a lot of runs.
11 walks, 5 of which were Corey Seager. They walked him 5 times.
4 times in like 3 innings.
Like,
or something like that.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, to an extent, I get it. Like, he's a really dangerous hitter. Postseason wise, he's unbelievable. Like, I get the idea of, like, not really wanting to pitch to him, but in situations like this where it's like, I mean, obviously, like, I just think the bullpen of these guys kind of just showed that they were not, like, they were in their own heads, and it was kind of almost transferring to each other, like,
Yeah.
as they were coming in. And I mean, it was a slog of a game. Like, they were just every Rangers half of an inning felt like it was like literally like a 15-minute inning. Christian Watson just got a big catch down to like the 5 yard line. But
Oh, who scored for the Packers? How'd they get that
but
touchdown?
AJ Dillon, I think.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, I agree with you as far as like the offense. I think we'll get the job done tomorrow, but it's all about what kind of pitching performance we get. The good news is that you'll have everybody available. So like I think like they'll try, if you can have like Kramer go like 4 innings or so, and then hopefully you can get Kyle Gibson in there. I think the string is going to be or the leash is going to be so short on Kramer. Like if he gives up like 1 or 2 runs, it might be the end, and they'll bring in Gibson because like it's, you know, postseason already. You're going to keep, you know, a tight leash on everybody, and like when you're in a situation like this, you know, you got to make sure that you're not making huge vital mistakes. And you know, I'm nervous. Like I said, we haven't gotten
The one
swept.
move I really hated from Brandon Hyde, to go back to that though, is that it wasn't anything to do with Sunday's game, because Sunday's game was fucked as soon as Grayson Rodriguez. Like, I don't blame him for not pulling him that early, because like you want your starting pitcher to get some innings. Like, he was in a sticky situation, but I probably would have seen if he could have got out of it too, because
See, and like I
I'm
usually
a trust
agree.
my guy kind of guy.
I agree with that usually, but I felt like there was one play in particular where you could tell that Grayson Rodriguez was not in it. And it was a play where there was a man on third.
Gary Sanchez,
Yeah.
where he
Where
just floats it over there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was a man on third, and it was like it's a little tiny hit, and Grayson kind of like panics, and then he just throws this like bloop because he almost overthrew Mountcastle on an earlier play,
He
and
spiked the one into the ground.
yeah, and Mountcastle made like a Gold Glove caliber play to get that out, and you know, and he just kind of floats it, and right then and there, I was like, you need to get him out, like he is completely lost right now, and they left him in
Yeah.
for one more batter, and I think he gave up either a hit or another walk. Excuse me, and you know, it's just situations like that where it's like in the playoffs, like it's you got to be able to kind of read your guys a little bit, and you know, it's only Brandon Hyde's second playoff game. I get that, and to an extent, that's kind of what you're. I don't want to say you're playing with house money, but it's like these guys are young. This is their first playoff experience. They had an 101 win season, their first real season of like kind of being competitive. So like, you know, I want to say they do get a little bit of a grace period, but it's like with a lot of these, you know, the common misconception, and I did this with the Sixers, is when you get that first playoff run thinking that it has this like mulligan feel to it. And you never know when you're going to get back in that situation. And the Sixers have been doing it now for all of Joel Embiid's tenure, is not getting past that second round. So what you don't want to do for the Orioles right now is think, and not saying they are, that you know that this is like an expendable playoff run because at the end of the day, no one thought you were going to be here in the first place this early. Like, make sure you know that it's just don't take it for granted, I guess.
I get what you're saying, but I also like it's not baseball is one of those sports where it's nothing's guaranteed. Like,
Mm-hmm.
baseball is one of those ups and down kind of sports. Like, you're never like you can predict something, like a team can look fantastic, but you really don't know how good they are. Like, the Astros were supposed to be world beaters this year, but they barely won their division.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that's nice about having all these young players is that I mean, I know they're gonna fucking like none of them are rattled. I feel like, or even if they are, they're just like at this point, fuck it, like do what you have to, you know. Like, at this point, you're playing with a little bit of freedom. I feel like, to just
Mm-hmm.
make plays.
Yeah.
do something
And like I
you
said,
have
I
to
think
win these games.
the biggest sign that they're not playing tight is the fact that the offense is rolling. Like 14 hits yesterday. Like if you get 14 hits and 8 runs in a playoff game, that should be an easy win. And the pitching staff should be ashamed of themselves for doing what they did because the offense did everything they could to scratch and claw from a 9-2 hole. And it felt like the entire game like
Yeah.
they could have done it. And
Yeah.
you just hope for the best for tomorrow, and it's one of those things. It's just
I trust the
it
creamy
sucks.
man.
The what?
I trust the creamster.
The creamster. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's hope so. He's got
That
it's one of
man
those
is a
things.
god.
Yeah. And he's got family over in Israel, so you hope for the best. Hopefully he's all right. But, hopefully
Good for them.
exactly. Yeah. All right. So, what else is there? What other? I mean, we had a big game tonight. Phillies.
Oh, I never said what thing I was upset with about Hyde. It was pulling Bradish at that game. Bradish was dealing. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
he went 5-2, but pulling him that early, I was not happy about. Seeing
Yeah, he
that,
just got a
not happy.
strikeout too. Like he was.
Yeah,
Like I don't know why they took him out that early, but
9 Ks.
yeah, he was killing.
9
Like that's what I'm
Ks.
saying. Like tomorrow, if you can get that win tomorrow, and you can put Bradish out on the mound on Wednesday, like that's the thing that sucks. Is like you
Oh,
don't
you don't
want to
save him for Game 5?
I don't think so, because it's one of those things where you put him in, and then you worry about getting there when you worry about it because we've been through this. I remember putting Ubaldo in instead of Zach Britton, how that worked out against the Blue
Yeah, but
Jays.
that's
Like
Ubaldo.
I know. I'm just saying, like, who are you going to go? Are you going to bring in, like,
I
if you're
take
going to
anyone
use,
else over Ubaldo.
like, I just think, yeah, you have to use Bradish, and then you take your chances, honestly, with Grayson. Like, I think you have to give him another
Again?
chance. Yeah, and but you do not let him up. Like, if it is showing like he is not, doesn't have the confidence, like, now's not the time to be like, well, grow out of it, buddy. Like that, now's the time to, wow,
Yeah,
you got to
just
take him
pull the
out.
confidence.
Yeah.
Just pull the confidence. Just rip it out of his soul. You have to sometimes, especially in these big moments.
Yeah.
This isn't about building morale. This is about winning when it comes to playoffs.
Big Josh Jacobs run.
Yeah.
But, we'll see what happens. Phillies lost a heartbreaker tonight. Austin Riley with a bottom of the 8th inning, 2-out, 2-run shot to propel the Braves, and then a wild play there at the end, which I think, I'm not saying this series is over at all. They're tied 1-1. I mean, we're talking ourselves into thinking we're going to come back from a 2-0 deficit against the Rangers, so obviously the series isn't over. But the way that
I'm
Phillies
taking
Braves
the reverse sweep.
the way that Phillies Braves ending was absolutely like a thunderous for the Braves, but absolutely like just devastating for the Phillies.
Yeah, no. Brutal one for the Phillies tonight. It's going up 4-0. But that's just the dangerous, like, the Braves are literally like the new murderers row. Like, I feel like they're never out of any game. You got so many people in that lineup with power. So many people in that lineup that hit for average. Like, it's just crazy how their offense is just put together.
Yeah, I mean, they're ridiculous. They're never out of any game, and their pitching is good too. And I mean, they showed it tonight. Like, it was one of those, like, it kind of felt like once Wheeler gave up the no-hitter and I think Acuna walked, and then Albies hit a single, and then Trey Turner had an error, and Acuna scored, and it kind of felt like, all right, like the juices were kind of getting going again. And then from then on, I think, D'Arnaud hit the 2-run shot, and then obviously Austin Riley. So
I think these breaks, like these buys in baseball, kind of hurt teams more than anything.
yeah, I don't think there's
Like,
any doubt.
I think it's pretty clear at this point that, like, getting a bye in baseball doesn't help at all. Like it just costs teams. Like the Astros lost to a game. Like all these teams that had a bye went down in their series. I think, right?
Yeah, the Dodgers right now are losing. The Braves obviously lost game one. Obviously, we're doing what we're doing. I think the Twins, they beat the Astros. Like, I think it's just like this, like the wild card teams, like how like are already playing with like that intensity, and they're kind of
Yeah.
already like in playoff mode, and it's like it takes a minute for like for whatever reason, like these division winners kind of come in and they're like stagnant. I don't really know how you fight it. I know the Braves and the Orioles were both playing simulated games during the week, so
Like no matter how many simulated games you play, it's not the same environment. Like a playoff environment is just completely different from anything else in baseball.
yeah. I don't know exactly how you combat it, and I guess it really is a testament to who the actual really good teams are. Can they withstand that? And
Yeah.
you know, like there's no doubt in my mind. I think Houston will beat Minnesota in that series.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, I mean it is crazy. I mean this could be the second year in a row the Phillies do it to the Braves off of pure momentum.
Exactly. And it's just because like baseball is just such a game of just repetition. Like I feel like you have to get like in-game reps on the daily to remain for in-game form, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of like very routine oriented. Showing up to the ballpark, doing your workouts, getting your training, treatment, or whatever, like doing the same thing over and over again. And
Yeah.
I think when that's interrupted and these guys kind of almost feel like they're going into an off-season break, it kind of like messes with them. So that's another thing that you're kind of hoping. I guess the Orioles are like, all right, we had our 2-game mulligan, time to get back on the
Yeah,
horse.
I know, dog. That's the only thing I have
Yeah,
hope. We got hot at
yeah,
the end of the last game, and we're like, oh, we can get the bats going finally.
yeah,
Santander has been great this postseason.
yeah.
Like
He
he's
was
been
rough
popping
yesterday, but
off.
yeah, but Saturday, he had a nice night or a nice day. But it is what it is. All right, should we call it a? This is kind of a bonus episode. I feel like since
Yeah,
we
this
didn't
is
give.
just like the full fan episode,
This is
full
just us
fan mode.
riffing for the diehard fans who are just like, we just want to hear these boys riff.
Yeah,
We just
man,
want to hear these boys scat for a little bit.
absolutely. Oh my goodness.
All right, so are we going to
Oh,
be? We'll be back tomorrow with another recap, I guess. See what's up. Talk about this
yeah,
Monday night
we'll
game.
spitball again probably.
Yeah, give ourselves a little bit. Maybe go a little more in depth about other games that weren't completely homer picks. And
Yeah, we
then
were
Thursday
just
we'll be back with our old pick'em. So, yeah.
absolutely get back on the pick 'em. Still got ground to make up.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching or listening.